Super Bowl. Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Yesterday was the Super Bowl, and we had a lot of things happen. Taylor Swift got booed. Kanye West released a ad that sent you to a website to buy nothing but white Nazi t-shirts. Let's see. What else happened at the Super Bowl? Oh yeah, the Chiefs got their ass kicked. That happened at the Super Bowl. And then Donald Trump, the president of the United States, showed up and he was at the Super Bowl. So, with Donald Trump at the Super Bowl, things were back to normal. No more end racism in the end zones. Most of the commercials were merit-based commercials about how, anyone can achieve greatness. Still have your, diverse cast of people and everybody, with, one leg and everything, and then being like, and we can achieve it together. But no more, tokenism. Because I have one leg, I'm special. They're like, you have one leg, you can do anything you want to do. Or, it's very straight back to the 90s. And speaking of the 90s, Michael Jordan, 3-peat, no 3-peat for the Chiefs. The Chiefs got their ass kicked. Probably because the Chiefs didn't deserve to be in the Super Bowl. Anybody that watches, I don't know, just playoff football, clearly watched Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills get screwed over on a really bad placement of a first down that sent the Chiefs to the Super Bowl to get their ass kicked. And if this was college football, we would speculate for the next 6 months about how the rankings are out of order and it was completely unfair and that one game was rigged. But because of the NFL, it's just on to the next one. But at least the guy who was dressed like a 70s cartoon character, Travis Kelce, gets to go back to his podcast now, his only other job, and just fucking bite his tongue. It's just like, I love it. It's not even like a small loss. It's one of those glorified losses where it's like, if you're going to show up that way, if you're going to have Taylor Swift in the stands, if y'all are going to make a big ass deal about all of this, like you're some fucking Tom Brady, Michael Jordan motherfucker, then you better do something. Are you going to get left in the past? Like the last 4 years of whatever that weird socialist experiment was in America, because we're back to America. Okay. We got Secret Service ads. We got presidents at the Super Bowl. Let's speak about president of the Super Bowl. Some conspiracies or thoughts about why he was actually the first president ever to attend the Super Bowl. One, crazy security to be able to have a sitting president at the Super Bowl. So that's probably why nobody's done it before. Why would he be different? Well, there was an attack in New Orleans on January 1st, okay? And if you look at that attack, it was by apparently an American military member with an ISIS flag. So if you just take that at fault, that is international terrorism right there where the Super Bowl is going to be. Seeing Donald Trump and who Donald Trump is, I can see him saying, well, the Super Bowl will be safe if I'm there because we'll make it safe, right? And they're like, sir, but maybe we shouldn't because, and he's like, we'll make it safe. So there's that part of it. But then also there's the part of it where Donald Trump is no different than any of these other guys. I mean, Joe Biden signs with CAA. Donald Trump, he can't get an agent in Hollywood, but he is part of Hollywood and probably personally invited by Rupert Murdoch, who bid on the Super Bowl with his Fox Telecom company to be able to get this game. And it's probably a genius idea for conservatives to bid on big sporting events like this. I don't know. They might start getting boxed out of them. But if you can have major networks like Fox produce things like this, it changes the game. There was There was no wokeness involved in the ads. You even had ads for like weird religious TV shows and stuff. I'm just like, I'm very excited about it because it feels very early 2000s. You know, we didn't even have to do a 9/11 to get a 9/11. We feel more together. That's all I'm saying. And with that said, you know, I don't know what we do now. Daytona 500, you know, that's next weekend, I guess. So there's that. I'm sure Donald Trump will do something crazy and we'll all be screaming tomorrow. Alex R. Wagner is my name. You should subscribe. I hear that if I say the word subscribe on YouTube, then the button lights up and you remember to do it. And that would be cool because we just hit 16,000 on YouTube. But we also hit 3,000 on Instagram. So if you want to head over to Instagram and subscribe, this is great. Don't subscribe to me on TikTok. I stopped posting because I deleted TikTok, and TikTok clearly isn't legal in the United States right now. So I'm just like, tell you figure your shit out, TikTok. I'm not ticking or a talking. February 8th, 2000. 8th, 9th, 10th. It's something. And this is No News is News.
I think it's just a father sky, you know.
Our CBS poll finds that a majority of Americans, 53%, approve of the job he's doing. That's a better approval number than he ever reached during his first term in the White House. Joining us with more is our Executive Director of Elections and Surveys, Anthony Salvanto. Good to see you, Anthony. What's driving this?
I will keep it simple, Margaret. He is doing, in the eyes of the public, what he said he would do in the campaign. There's political value in that. In fact, 70% of people say he's doing what he promised. That's whether they approve of him or not. Now, there's another part of this that continues over from the campaign. There were words that he was described as being tough, being energetic, and he still is today in big majority numbers. So as people take a look in these first few weeks, there's been a lot of activity. They're getting that general sense of governance, and that's being reflected in these early numbers.
You have spoken quite a bit this week about what USAID meant in your life, particularly when you were living in a refugee camp for 4 years. And USAID, you talked about helping to keep you alive. We know this week a federal judge will come to some kind of hearing and decision perhaps on what happens to all those government workers. Are the courts the main line of defense here?
Yeah, I mean, what we are witnessing is a constitutional crisis. We are seeing an executive branch that has decided that they are no longer going to abide by the Constitution in honoring Congress's role in the creation of the agencies, in their role in deciding where money is allocated. And so the only recourse we have, since our congressional leadership, the Speaker, will not stop the executive, is through the judiciary. And this is, you know, when you think about the checks and balances that we have, the courts are the only recourse we have at the moment.
Them to be very clear about, for example, their role funding Hamas in Gaza. They would not comply. They will not tell us what they do. Now that we start to find out some of the programs that AID has been funding, if you think about it, sex change operations in Guatemala, LGBTQ programs in Serbia,
the U.S.
this is
government
ridiculous.
does not
This is
fund
so beyond
sex
the pale.
change operations or fund Hamas. You know that, though. But you sit on...
That is not true, Margaret. I couldn't get the Secretary of State. I asked him 3 times to tell me that we were not funding Hamas through AID. He couldn't do it. And frankly, what we found is that we've been funding as American taxpayers organizations.
Do you have any evidence that the United States government is funding a terrorist group?
Certainly, the funds that have gone to UNRWA. You saw the UNRWA members who were also Hamas members go in and attack on.
UNRWA is part of the United Nations.
UNRWA is supporting terrorist groups. And if you look at what UNRWA has done, it's been so counter to our national interest. It's unbelievable that we would fund it.
So is it worthwhile to get some bipartisan effort? You've done that on some big things that you have gotten across the finish line, but he says you're not even talking.
Well, listen, Hakeem is a good colleague, but that hyperbole there is not helpful. I mean, we're not dramatically cutting Medicaid and we're not doing all these things they accuse the Republicans of. We're trying to get the country back on track and restore America's greatness. And it takes some real effort to do it. There will be things that we're doing in a bipartisan fashion, but the reconciliation process, which we're spending all the time on right now, is by design effectively a partisan exercise. They've done it when they had unified government, and we're doing it this way. So there's plenty of time for all the negotiation, and we'll get to that. And, you know, the Democrats, frankly, are flailing right now. They don't have an identified party leader. They don't have a real vision for the party. And the blitz of all the Trump executive actions have them just at a dizzying pace. And so they're flailing right now. I get it. This is politics, but we're going to get the job done.
A football fan, size up these two teams.
I'm a big fan of both teams. They're sort of different. In Philadelphia, you have one of the greatest running backs, Saquon. You know, Saquon had an uncle who was a great fighter, and I ran Barkley, his name was. So you have a great running back. You really have a great quarterback. The other team, the quarterback really knows how to win. He is a great, great quarterback.
So game prediction?
I hate to do it. I just say that I've watched this great quarterback who has, by the way, a phenomenal wife, okay? She's a Trump fan. She's a MAGA fan, so I happen to love her, okay? But she's a great person. I watched her being interviewed. I said, boy, that's pretty good. But she's great, and he's great. I guess you have to say that when a quarterback wins as much as he's won, I have to go with Kansas City. At the same time, Philadelphia has a fantastic game. It's going to be just a great game.
Back. I'm part of his team. Back up, everybody! Back up! Hey, back up! Everyone's got to back up! Right here, Jared and Grace! 2, 1!
Fire final round, if I could. Let's talk about Canada. In a closed-door meeting with business leaders, outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau warned that President Trump is serious about annexing Canada to make it the 51st state. Is he right? Is President Trump serious about planning to annex Canada?
Look, I think the Canadian people many of them would love to join the United States with no tariffs, with lower taxes. And I have all kinds of neighbors down in Florida that are Canadians that are escaping many of the liberal policies and have moved in. But look, what we're talking about
yes
here
or
is
no? First of all, I think some
American
Canadians would
leadership
disagree
in
with
the
you.
Western Hemisphere.
I think some Canadians would disagree
Well,
with you. But just yes or no, is he planning to annex
part
Canada?
Of his policy. Well, I don't think there's any plans to invade Canada, if that's what you're talking about. But there is a lot of people that like what we have in the United States and do not like the last 10 years of liberal progressive governance in Trudeau. But really what you're seeing is a reassertion of American leadership in the Western Hemisphere from the Arctic all the way down to the Panama Canal. And that's what we're talking about, from Greenland to Arctic security, to the Panama Canal coming back under the United States. America has avoided our own hemisphere where we have the energy, the food, and the critical minerals for way too long. And you're seeing a reassertion of President Trump's leadership.
The New York...
Palestinian refugees into the United I think it's a very far distance for them to travel, but I'd have to look at individual cases. But I do think that coming into the United States, we've taken a lot of people, but coming into the United States, it's a long way for them to travel. They're far away from their families and their friends and everything else. I think they'd be very happy staying in the general area with in a place that was safe, where they could be safe and lead a good life. They don't want to go back to Gaza.
There seems to be this playbook that happens, and it's, in short, it's shock and awe. It's constantly keep people scared, uninformed, keep changing things up on them, make demands that are impossible, make new hoops to jump through. And to be honest, I think there are some people who, for whom this kind of environment is just simply not healthy. It's unhealthy for really any employees. And also it sows discord. And the one thing I'll say, and it's probably the same thing that happened for us at Twitter, no work happens during this. For all of the, moving in beds and the dramatics and truly the theater, the theatrics of, saying there's 120-hour work weeks, one has to ask how much work is actually getting done if nobody knows what's going on.
Part of the challenge I'm seeing with some things we're seeing with Doge is that it's not thought out, and actually much of it is illegal. Because you cannot just dismantle departments or agencies. The Congress actually does have a check and a balance on that. The Congress has a role in that. And so when you're hearing things like we're going to offer an 8-month buyout, it can't be honored because it's illegal.
Do you tell people not to take it when they call your office?
Oh, I tell people, be careful on what you're signing. Because once you sign something, that is permanent. And so when you are hearing that there is going to be an 8-month buyout or a 10-month contract negotiation, just be clear, unless Congress approves that, it's not legitimate.